This is the Iowa Weather Report for Wednesday, April 17th, 2013. Now our first look at the 0Z GFS model run. This is at 1 p.m. this afternoon. We have a trough with some energy digging in across the Four Corners region, and with some energy along it, the southwesterly winds ahead of it, we're going to have moisture coming up from the Gulf of Mexico. That introduces the storm system over the Texas and Oklahoma panhandle. Showers and thunderstorms will be breaking out. Severe weather is possible. We'll see the outlooks later on. Snow breaking out in the Rockies up into the Black Hills of South Dakota. Then we move on to Thursday. We have a low-pressure center near the Quad Cities. Still have a line of showers and thunderstorms from Illinois near Chicago down through Missouri, Arkansas into East Texas. Snow on the backside in Nebraska and the Dakotas. Then we move to Friday, and that's when we could see a little bit of a wintry mix, maybe a little bit of snow. Accumulations are likely going to be over the northwestern counties of the state. We'll look at that in a little bit as temperatures fall into the 30s. But Saturday looks to be fairly pleasant but cold. Highs will be back up into at least the 40s to lower 50s across the state. Maybe a few clouds late in the day with a little bit of moisture moving into the western counties of the state. That comes in here on Sunday with some showers, maybe a rumble of thunder, but nothing too serious. No real dynamic forcing involved, and very little moisture with it, maybe a quarter of an inch after the possible 1 to 3 inches this week. And then that system moves off and another low forms in around the Texas panhandle, a little bit west of Amarillo. Some snow breaking out in the Dakotas into Wyoming and Montana again. And the Gulf begins to open up, and by Tuesday we could see some rain and cold air again. We could see wintry mix again. Maybe some showers and thunderstorms. Could see severe weather from Chicago to St. Louis to Fort Smith, Arkansas down to Ardmore, Oklahoma. And a week from today, that system begins to move off. The trough axis moving across the Mississippi River at this point. Cutoff low moving into Southern California. May have to watch that into the following week. But next week, we could see a line of showers and thunderstorms from Buffalo to Cincinnati to Memphis down to New Orleans, with severe weather there, and just cooling off here back into the 50s for highs, with clearing skies and more cold air wanting to make a run. But then we head to Voodoo on to the 28th of April. We have another trough coming in, but this is not as strong as the last couple, and we're getting into the latter half of April. And with that, that'll bring a little bit of a system down that could bring some showers, maybe a rumble of thunder, but no real Gulf of Mexico moisture with this system, so amounts of rain should be fairly light with this system, and no real cold air behind that. And at the end of the forecast on May the 2nd, we have a cutoff feature over the Florida-Georgia coast, bit of a ridge over most of the western, about half to two-thirds of the country. And with that, that's going to keep us dry for a change. Maybe a shower around, but nothing too serious. Temperatures likely back into seasonal levels, which by the 1st of May or so, we'd be back up into the mid to upper 60s, maybe approaching 70 or so. The satellite image from last evening showed a few showers and thunderstorms across the Ohio Valley, and some moisture developing over Texas into Louisiana, and some snow breaking out over the mountains of Wyoming into South Dakota and North Dakota. The watch warning map from last evening, flood watches and flash flood watches from Michigan through Wisconsin, the eastern part of Iowa into Illinois and Missouri, winter storm issues from Wisconsin, Minnesota westward, and some red flag warnings over New Mexico and southeast Arizona. QPF chart, precipitation over the next 5 days. This is through Sunday evening at 7 o'clock, showing rainfall amounts are going to be quite plentiful, from maybe 1.5 inches in the northwest to possibly 4 inches or more in the south and southeast. Now here's the severe weather outlook we told you about. This is the day one outlook. This is today and tonight, a slight risk of severe weather across the parts of Iowa south and east of a line from Dubuque to Des Moines to about Hamburg, with the moderate risk over Kansas, Oklahoma, and North Texas. Here's the tornado outlook for today and tonight. We have a 5% chance of tornadoes in any given point within 25 miles of a given point in southeast Iowa. Best chances over southwestern Oklahoma and North Texas around the Red River Valley. Here's the damaging wind outlook. The better chances over far southeast Iowa, the 30% area, Burlington, Keokuk, Fort Madison, through Quincy, Illinois to Kirksville, down to Joplin, and down to Oklahoma City and Lawton. And then here's the large hail outlook for today and tonight. You can see the better chances, the 45%, and even the enhanced risk from about Kansas City and Wichita through most of Oklahoma into north central Texas around Dallas and Wichita Falls. But there's a cold side to the system as well. This is the snow probabilities. This is from Wednesday evening to Friday evening of at least 2 inches of snow or more, and the probabilities look pretty good across the northwestern half of the state, upwards of 50 to 80%. This is 4 inches of snow or more in this 48-hour period beginning tonight through Friday evening, and the probabilities roughly about 40 to 60%, so 4 inches is probably the most, but will there be 4 inches on the ground? Not likely. And this is the probabilities of seeing 8 inches of snow or more. This is where the probabilities drop below 30% or about 35%, better chances from the Twin Cities north and eastward. So we could see some snow totals, especially in the north and west. When we take a look at some models, this is the NAM looking through Saturday morning at 7 a.m. You can see this shows roughly about maybe 1 to 3 inches in the northwestern quarter of the state. And then when we take a look at this is the 10 to 1 ratio. This shows the totals up to about 4 inches of snow. So anywhere, maybe an isolated 4-inch total, but mainly 1 to 3 inches in the northwestern half of the state, mainly on metal surfaces. Now this is the GFS run. This is through the same time period, 7 a.m. on Saturday morning. This shows about 1 to 3 inches across our northwestern counties, mainly on grass and on like cars and metal signs and whatnot. And this is the 10 to 1 ratio, and this also shows about the same, maybe an isolated total up to 4, maybe 5, but the heaviest totals from Nebraska into South Dakota, Minnesota, and into northwestern Wisconsin.